not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Yeah, it's time to empower, educate, and encourage your women to motivate you through whatever you've been going through. We can talk about it. We ain't passing no judgment. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. Tune into your lane talk show. It makes us feel good just to know we're not alone. No more we feel isolated and cast aside. I want you to come out the dark. Just don't be afraid of your heart. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. It's your Lane Talk Show with Coach Trish Hannah.
Hello. Welcome everyone to Your Lane Talk Show with your favorite coach in the whole wide world, Coach Trish Hannah, on this blessed Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so happy to be broadcasting with you. We haven't been on live for like 2 Sundays, man. But anyway, we're broadcasting live from the beautiful Nassau, Bahamas. Yeah, this is the place where Jesus lives. All right. We are on the Guardian 96.9 FM dial. And if you are joining us for the very first time, welcome. Let me move these things out the way. Welcome to the show. Of course, this is the show where we encourage, empower, and educate women of all ages. And of course, we salute our men listeners who tune in as well. Listen, the men have been calling in more frequently than the women have. So I don't even say this a women's talk. I shame to say this a women's talk show now because listen, we have a vast amount of men who tune in and call and participate and engage just the same. So thank you so much. We salute you, our male listeners. And guess what? This show will continue to step out of the 4 walls into media. These are some of the discussions that you may not hear or necessarily hear in the church. But of course, we still use biblical references and values when we discuss certain topics. They're taboo, but we make sure that God is completely in it. All right. So if it's not the way of God, then you could go on another talk show. That's fine. I'm okay with that. In the month of September, we focused on children's dreams. All right. And our last show before the disruptions of the tropical storm and my vacation, etc., the topic was identifying demonic activities in our children's dreams. Now, this is where we had our guest, Pastor Alan Johnson, and he was sharing ways that we can recognize when the enemy is trying to show fear, confusion, or deception in our children. That episode was phenomenal. I learned a lot of things. Okay. I would want you to go ahead and check it out. It is episode 147, Identifying Demonic Activities in Our Children's Dreams. And this can be found on YouTube. Just look up Coach Trish Hannah. And while you are there, please like and subscribe. All right. You could also find it on Facebook, Your Lane Life Coaching. And that's where we are now. In fact, we're live now on Your Lane Life Coaching. So if you want to see me or see our guests for today, go ahead and log on there. And we're also live on YouTube. You can watch us there as well. And then you can also watch us on, if you have the Guardian Radio app, we're there. We're on the website on Guardian Radio as well. Of course, you can hear us on channel 969 on cable. We're also on BTC Flow channel 612. Okay, so there are lots of ways that you can hear and see us on today's program. And I'm so grateful to God for that, because some people will be like, oh, well, I'm not on Facebook. Okay, well, you're on YouTube. Yes, I'm on YouTube. Oh, well, I don't need to see you. No, nobody never told me that, right? Nobody never told me that. But if you want to see the guests, you want to see me, you can log on and see us from YouTube and Facebook. I'm honored to have with me today two very special. Well, there's one that is here now. I'm not certain if the other one is present, but we're gonna have two guests. Hopefully, a widow and a widower. All right, who will courageously share their stories of loss and healing and their journey while living after grief. Okay, later in the show, we'll also be joined by the host of the Hold It Together Marriage Forum, and they'll be talking about their Widows Conference. And the incredible work that they are doing and have planned for this weekend. I'm excited about that as well. So if you want to be a part of this show, all right, we're gonna give you an opportunity to make a call 323-6232, 325-4316, or 325-4259 if you want to call in at any point. If I have a question, I have a question. I want to ask my audience, if you've ever experienced loss of a spouse, what gave you hope for the future and what kept you going? That's a very interesting question. So if you had lost a spouse, right? What was it that was what is keeping you now? What has kept you then and what is keeping you now? So the number to call is 323-6232. 325-4316 or 325-4259. Now, and guess what? We also have access to text as well. So if you just want to text and maybe you don't want to hear your voice or you don't want to want people to know who you are, you can give us a text at 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. And of course, if you are international, it's 1242 before the numbers that were cited. Okay. So Your Lane Talk Show, episode 148, The Journey of Grief, Learning to Live After Loss, is brought to you by John Shoe Store and Accessories, Airwick, distributed by Thompson Trading, Tropical Gyros, Hold It Together Marriage Forum, Widows Conference, Your Lane Life Coaching, and Children's Dream Journal. Now, parents, every dream your child has carries meaning, believe it or not. Don't let them be forgotten and do not, don't dismiss their dreams. The Children's Dream Journal helps you capture those dreams and guide your child's destiny with prayer and purpose. The Children's Dream Journal is now available at All Seasons Book and Gift Center, Palmdale Shopping Center. Of course, if you are international, you can order it on Amazon. Okay, that's a Children's Dream Journal. That's an opportunity for you to allow your children to either draw or write out what they have dreamt the night before. Okay, and of course, it's an awesome opportunity for you to know what is happening within your child in the spiritual realm. All right, so I want my guests to introduce themselves. First of all, producer, is the other virtual guest on and ready? She's on Zoom. Okay, that's perfect. That's no problem. So we're going to start with who's in studio. We have with us Pastor Jeffrey Evans. Pastor Evans, welcome to Your Lane Talk Show.
Hi, thank you for having me with you today.
Thank you for being here. And then we also have with us Minister Karen Wiggins, international virtual guest. Minister Wiggins, are you there?
Okay. So great. What? My article? Really?
Minister Karen? Okay, so let me just start with Pastor Jeffrey. Pastor Jeffrey, just talk to us about, who you are. Introduce yourself to our listening audience, please.
Well, my name is Pastor Jeffrey Evans. I am an associate pastor at Emmanuel Gospel Chapel. I am a 10-year retiree of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
Okay.
Coincidentally, I'm also a 10-year widower, as my wife passed away 2 weeks after I retired from the Defense Force.
Oh, wow.
And so it's been an interesting walk, to say the least.
Mhm. Right. Do you have any children?
I have 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest is 35, is a boy. My second son is going to be 33 in a couple of days. And my last child is 22 years old, and she's a girl. The only girl in my lot of 3 children.
Wow. Listen, first of all, you look amazing. I got just coming from church, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you all your clothes on, everything. For those who can see, you can go on and log in. Producer, make sure they can see this nice coat suit. Now, this is everything. This is all his clothes on today, and it's just marvelous. I love the colors. Thank you.
Bless the Lord.
All right. Can you tell me if Minister Karen is on yet? There you go. Greetings. How are you? I can see her, but I can't hear her. Okay, so we'll check her out. Make sure she's logged in on Zoom on that side so we can hear her. So we'll continue on, right? So Pastor Jeffrey, I want to know a little bit about your late spouse. All right, so tell us a little bit about her, how she was, what was her character like, and what sparked that interest for you to marry her.
My wife's name was Karen,
Oh wow.
and December 24th this year would have marked 42 years that we would have been married. We got married in our early 20s, and she was an amazing woman, truly amazing woman. If I can go back a bit further,
Yes, sir.
this year I'm about to celebrate 50 years out of high school. And a lot of times I talk about my marriage experience. I find it necessary to go back to my childhood. You see, in my childhood, in primary school, the emphasis was on numerology and literacy. And they drilled it into us, and a lot of what we learned came from repetition.
Mhm.
In the literacy part of it, we learned about fairy tales, and they always began once upon a time that this handsome prince meets a beautiful young lady, they get married, and they live happily ever after. And after I got married to Kieran, to be honest with you, I thought it was a fairy tale. It was a fairy tale wedding or marriage. I always thought that we would be together until this particular age. But one of the things that I did not anticipate about a fairy tale wedding is that at some point it would end. And the reality of it is this. I know we're going to talk about this a bit later on, but one of the things that never happens in a real life marriage is the fact that you always think that things would never end.
Right.
But when it does, you find that you're not ready for it. And I don't care who you are. Most people that I speak with, they always express the same thing to me. The fact that, yes, we thought we were strong, we were dealing with this in the lives of other people. But when it happens to you,
Come on.
and it also from the place of numeracy, because a couple of years ago I was doing some research and I was speaking on a particular topic, and if you would excuse the expression, I said, God has a really good sense of humor,
Mhm.
because we were taught in school that 1 and 1 equals 2. But when you get married, the word of God says that for this cause a man leaves his father and his mother and he clings to his wife. That's 2. But 1 and 1 becomes 1.
His math is completely different from ours, right?
And so what happens is you go through your life just adjusting to this 1 and 1 becoming 1. And just when you think you're getting a handle on it, 1 minus 1 becomes 1. And God expects for us as his children to lead the abundant life. He says, above all else, I wish that you prosper and you be in good health,
Mhm.
even as your soul prospers. But the reality of it is no one ever taught you that time would come. And so
We're gonna get there, right?
Uh-huh.
But I want you to just let's focus on who she was. You said she was good to you.
she
You said
was,
she was
listen,
best,
let me tell you,
Now, she could cook. Used to cook.
Mind you, I am more domesticated, and I believe in that aspect. I spoiled her
Right.
because there were certain things I did not want her to do.
Oh.
I had a nickname for her. I always called her my peony doll. There was a doll that we saw when we were away once, and it was a peony doll,
Mhm.
and I kept on calling her my peony doll. And I said to her, "Boy, listen, you're just that precious to me."
Oh.
And so there were certain things I did not allow her to do. I believe in a lot of cases I spoiled her, but I always wanted a relationship where I can actually spoil someone, and she gave me the perfect opportunity to do so because she sat back and allowed it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not allow her to lift anything, especially as it came towards the end, because I'm wearing pink today,
Hmm.
and she died from breast cancer, and so I'm wearing pink today in memory of the wonderful times that we had.
Yes.
And I remember the day that she died. Um, it was a day unlike any other day that I've ever had before because she was in hospital and they called me in early that morning, and I could not believe that the one person that we were hoping and praying for, um, with just one breath, the one minus one in my life, caused me now to become one. My daughter was 12 years old at the time, and she and her mom were very close. And I remember praying at her deathbed. I says, God, you got to heal me from this. Um, and then I asked him, I said, what in the world am I going to do with a 12-year-old girl? And he said to me, listen, you learn enough in life about how to take care of your home. You learn enough in life to take care of your children. And so he said to me abruptly, listen, take care of her.
Mm.
And so for 10 years now, she has been my responsibility. Um, and I honestly didn't know that I could have handled it because, she's coming into womanhood. She and her mom were very close. Um, Oftentimes people mistook them for twins.
Hmm.
I saw a picture of her the other day and I says, oh my goodness, girl, you a spitting image of your mommy.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that yes, you do have your children who resemble your loved one or the one who's passed. Like, how do you deal with? Do you stare at her sometimes? Do you reminisce on your wife by just dwelling or looking at your daughter? How do you feel when you see her in moments where you actually see your wife?
For a while it was kind of awkward for me because she even spoke like my wife did. And there were times shortly after my wife died, she would come home and she would say something. And I would be convinced that that was Kieran come back home. And I had to catch myself.
Mhm.
And she wore essentially the same perfume that her mom wore.
Oh my God.
And they're shaped, they were shaped similarly. And let me share this one with you. We were in the supermarket one day, and we had not seen Kieran's cousin in a number of years. And I was in another aisle, and I saw him, and he and I was speaking. And he saw my daughter. Her name is Ania. He saw her Ania, and he started to stare at Ania. And I had to walk up to him, and I says, "No, that's not Kieran. That's a daughter."
Wow.
And I always joke with her, and I says, "You're Kieran Jr., right? You look so much alike. She has the same temperament and everything."
Mhm.
And I said to her, I did not have an opportunity to fulfill my life stream with your mom. But the one thing I will do for you is I will support you in any which way that I can.
Yeah.
And hopefully you would attach yourself to a really nice man and you would have a wonderful marriage. And I said, if there was one thing I know Karen would always want for you, is that you have a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
much as I tried to give Karen a fulfilled life.
And you said you have two boys,
Two
right?
boys,
Two
yes.
boys. Okay. So how are they dealing with this grief, and what were you saying to them during this time?
I found in that experience, as I did in my life experience, men are not very expressive,
Mhm.
and so My sons are not very open in talking about their mother, and I can understand why. Because they're speaking about it brings back a whole lot of memories, and so I don't ask them to do so. I just will allow them to speak, and as much as they are prepared to, I allow them to, and I realize that she was very close to our children.
Mhm.
I worked for the Defense Force, and so I spent a whole lot of my life at sea, on detachment or on duty.
Mhm.
And I remember at a funeral, amazingly, my three children spoke at a funeral, and my daughter, she danced at a funeral. And I remember sitting down and I saw my children minister, and I realized that they are who they are because of her influence. She had a tremendous influence over them, and they loved her dearly. And at her passing, it was a difficult time because the very evening that she passed, they came to me and they said, "Daddy, we can't stay here
In the house.
in the house." And so I allowed them to go to their grandmother's house. And which made it difficult for me because here I am at home, memories of Santa done left the house. Um, whenever I heard a noise in the other part of the house, I'm always wondering if she was coming home. She worked shifts. And there were times that either at midnight she would be going to work or she'd be coming home at midnight. And so, you'd be in your bedroom, which is at the back of the house, and if you hear a car stop, you're always wondering if she's coming home. And so it was an adjustment that I had to make.
Wow. And the fact that you had a little girl, she's 12. So at this time, of course, she's approaching,
Womanhood.
womanhood and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And here you are. So what were you doing, or what did you do during those times? Did you refer her to her aunties and neighbor friends, or were you the one speaking to her?
Well, the beauty of life is, shortly after her mom died, she had some cousins who lived in Texas,
Mhm.
and they asked her to come up to be with them because they came to Nassau for the funeral, and they allowed her to travel back to Texas where they were. And her cousin worked on a Navy base, and at the base there was a psychologist, and he took her into her care, and she came back to Nassau and she said how tremendously helped she was by the whole process because it's not something that people talk about a
No.
whole lot, almost as if they are prepared to shield you from the reality. But um, the psychologist that she was dealing with in the United States really helped her. And there's been some adjustment, there have been some adjustment issues. And I've had to be patient in the process because not only did I have to be patient with her, but I had to ask her to be patient with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was an adjustment on both of our part. And ultimately, what we wanted to see happen was that God would heal us from this whole experience and would just be good to us and guide us into the place where we can actually feel a sense of worth
Mhm.
even after she had passed.
Oh wow. And I love the fact that she got help, that there was some intervention, that some mediator, someone there to try to take up that mantle. Because you hurting and she's hurting and
Yeah.
she's going through, womanhood and stuff. I don't know. And much people be able to deal with that. But I thank God that He gave you the grace, and someone that was able to guard her and keep her, during that process and that time, which is wonderful. Let me see if I can get back to Karen. Minister Karen, let's see if we can get you back on. Greetings.
Yeah. Hi. Can y'all hear me?
Are you on Zoom?
Yes. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay, my producer said you dropped off of Zoom.
I need you to stay on.
Okay, because we can see you on StreamYard. So let's see if Karen could get that. She could get her side sorted out, and we'll just continue. So Pastor Jeffrey, so one of the other things I wanted to ask is how has the support been for you from church members and family and friends in that time, during that time?
In all honesty, not good. It's not good because One of the reasons that I attached myself to this particular ministry is because I had a very close friend. She and I were very close. And at one point, we were contemplating marriage. And she said to me at one point, she says, you know, you're not healed from your wife's status yet. And she said to me, until such time as you come to a place of healing, you're not going to be able to be much use to whoever else comes into your life. And so I had an opportunity to, well, I knew the Allenses from time immemorial. And so they invited me to share a Facebook video that they were having. And I had an opportunity to share my story. And in sharing my story, it's amazing how people come into your life who would have experienced the same things that you would have. And they say to you that this is not something that we like to talk about. It's easier for us, you know, to keep it within ourselves. And I realized that if you do that, you cause yourself to become worse because it boils up and you never have an opportunity to release. And so working with this particular ministry, we have an opportunity to hear stories. And some of the stories you hear, it'll make you laugh, but they're real. Some of the people who actually share with us, they share some of their fears, share with us some of their misgivings. And I know she's probably listening right now, but there was a young lady who shared with us in this ministry, and she told us that while her husband was alive, they did all the grocery shopping together. And after he died, she did not even want to go into a food store. I had another person who was a part of our group. She didn't even want to go into the cemetery. And I do not take these things for granted because until you're able to understand their story, sometimes you think that they're overreacting or they're acting inappropriately. But you have to appreciate that everyone has their own story, and their story is their story.
So let's talk to the men who, or just before I ask that, there is a question the answer to my question from today. Someone posted on Facebook. The question, of course, was asking, how did you cope? And how have you coped? And this texter stated, the person who input on Facebook stated, the Lord had to help me, but the fact that my kids were still small in school, I had to keep it together for them. And I was still a young woman, and I had to tell myself life does not end here, and this too shall pass. Along with the prayers of family and friends, I made it and was able to remarry again. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So someone had lost their spouse, and they had to cope, and prayers is what kept this individual on Facebook. So thank you so much for sharing that. And listen to me. Lord, Lord, He knows my strength. You know how much I could bear. I know a few men who lost their wives. I have two that I can share the names of right now, but one of them in particular has two girls, right? Two girls and a grandchild, right? A granddaughter living in the house with him. So, but when I see him, I think for me, from what I've gathered, what has been keeping him was that church bond, the church bond, and being involved, because he's very much highly involved in the church as well. But at the end of the day, I always wonder, like, how do you, when you go home, all of the noise is quiet. There's quiet now. There's stillness. And then you go in that bed by yourself.
Yeah.
I never was woman enough to go and ask him that, right? But can I ask you that, sir? For those past couple, perhaps weeks or so, going in your bed, not having your wife by your side, how have you been dealing with that?
I had an interesting conversation with a member of my congregation. One day they came to me and they says, Pastor Jeff, we're praying for you. I didn't wish to be cynical or anything like that, but I was interested in what they were praying for. And so I said, I really appreciate it, but if you don't mind, can you tell me what it is that you're praying for? And they didn't know. You see, unless you have walked this walk,
Come on. Oof.
and I share this with people, I said, unless you're in a graveyard and you see the mortal remains of the person that in this case, it was 31 and a half years. you're in a cemetery and you see them, the body is, the remains are lowered into the ground, and you know you will never see this person again. Um, you need strength like none other. I don't care. I don't care who you are.
Mm.
I have done a lot of funerals because prior to my retirement, I was working in the welfare section of the Defense Force, and the section I worked in, we prepared funerals for Defense Force persons. And at my church, I've taken on that responsibility to assist persons who would have lost a loved one, and we help in that and every time you go through that experience, um, even though the experiences themselves are different, there's a common trend in the whole thing. And the common trend that you see right there is someone has gone.
Yeah, someone just input said, only God helped us. The nights are cold and very long, a lot of pressure.
You know, Karen and I always love taking long drives.
Mhm.
And because, like I said, she works shifts, and sometimes, I would go and collect if she was getting off at midnight. I would go and collect her, or she, of our times conflicted and everything. But um, it meant that whenever she got home, I would always be sitting at the dining room table when she pulled into the yard. If she came home at midnight, and I would open the door for her, and I would, ensure that she, gets a shower and everything. And once she's tucked into bed, I would not go to bed until she's asleep because I know that she could work. She may have had a really hard day,
Mhm.
and those are the sort of things that you just can't get used to. And ensuring that whenever she is going off to work, you're doing your best to ensure that she has everything that she needs. Oftentimes, if she's going out by herself at midnight, you go and you check the car and you stand aside until she would drive out of the corner and
No, hold on.
everything.
No, sorry, Pastor Jeffrey. I have to stop you for 2 seconds. You sound like someone out of fairy tale book. I'm sorry. So you would come out and wash your leave and all this other stuff. You would do that.
Yeah,
You would be like,
yeah,
oh wow,
yeah.
that's wonderful. And that is wonderful. So you could honestly say that you have served, you have loved her as Christ loved the church.
Listen, and when she got to work, I needed to know that she was at work. Or if I was going off and I had to go to a late night shift, whenever I got to work, I would call her, Mrs. Okay, I'm at work now. Everything is good.
Mhm.
Why she, when she got up in the morning, sometimes at 6 a.m., she would call and say, okay, I'm on my way home now. And so the latter part of our marriage means we worked a lot of shifts. And so we had to accept responsibilities because if one of us were home, that would be the one who would ensure that the children were ready for school or
Right.
whatever it is that they had to do. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience of sharing the responsibilities of bringing up our children. I was cooking the house, and
And I was waiting because you never answered me. I was asking if she could cook, and you started talking about da-da-da. You had her spoiled, so she wasn't cooking. You were cooking.
a lot of it I did.
Oh,
Even after the time she died, I didn't even know she could iron.
oh Lord.
I did all the washing, um, and everything. And I remember once when my daughter was in preschool,
Mhm.
we were invited to for a PDA meeting, and it was a nutritionalist who came to speak at the PDA meeting, and she said that she always commended to the staff at the school that my daughter always had the healthiest meals.
That's wonderful.
And then she said in a very boasting way, and it's a dad who prepared all of her meals.
Aw, yeah, I
And
love
so,
that.
and so my children, they became accustomed to my cooking. They became accustomed to my care and everything like that. And I did not have a problem with that because I didn't say anything effeminate about it. I saw it as being a whole man, being able to take care of your home, and in situations where I may have overdone it, but I didn't care because I needed to ensure that she lived her best life ever.
I absolutely love that. Men who are tuning in, please take notes. Please take notes. Yeah, so we're going to take a quick break. I don't know where our virtual guest went, but we're going to see if we can find her, okay? Just before I take a break, I want to Okay, they said Karen entered the studio. All right, look at that. We found her already. All right, before we leave on our first break, I want to say someone stated on Facebook, instantly, intimacy is absent. The struggle is real. No more arms to hold you, just emptiness. My God. My God. Listen to me. Listen. And then when we get back from off this break, you made a statement. You said you asked the person from the church, what exactly are you praying for? And the person couldn't answer you. So when we get back off the break, I want you to tell the people what they should be praying for in reference to those who have lost their spouses.
Okay.
Let's take a quick break. Go, producer. See if you could hear.
As a healthcare professional, you dedicate your life to caring for others. But even with the best care, legal challenges can arise. Protect your practice and your peace of mind with medical malpractice insurance from Star General. At Star General, we've partnered with Lloyd's of London to bring you comprehensive professional liability insurance designed specifically for those consulting or practicing privately. Visit our website today so you can focus on what you do best, caring for your patients while we take care of the rest. Star General, insurance made simple.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This holiday season, let Airwick fill your home with the mist of happiness. Enjoy limited edition scents like apple cinnamon medley, glistening snow and frosted mint, sweet vanilla and shea butter, all infused with natural oils to bring warmth and cheer. Find Airwick's essential mist diffusers and scented oil warmers at Kelly's, Close Pharmacy, Paradise Premium Foods, and Family Island locations. Airwick, activate your holiday essence.
Craving something bold, fresh, and unforgettable? Tropical Gyros is your flavor-packed escape, a Carib Greek fusion born right here in Nassau. From juicy grilled salmon, chicken, and pork gyros to loaded bowls, fresh salads, wings, and more, there's something for every craving. Find Tropical Gyros at any of their locations, JFK Plaza, Rosetta Street, Port Lucaya Freeport, or their franchise spots on Prince Charles Drive, Soldier Road West, Delaport, and Carmichael Road. Tropical Gyros, not just good food, it's an experience.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
You try to rest, but with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Welcome back. For those who are joining us for the first time, you're late. First of all, you're late. Okay. We have with us Pastor Jeffrey, he is talking about, his journey regarding the loss of his wife. His wife passed away 10 years ago, right? And he's still cherishing the moments and he's still cherishing the memories. And of course, our situation is just this, the fact that you have people, and I'm sure you know someone who's lost a loved one, who's lost a spouse. And sometimes, to be honest with you, you just don't know what to say. You just don't know how to say it. I don't know. Maybe, I know back in the days, that's how I used to act like, okay, because you don't want to sound cliche, or we're praying for you, similar to what your church members say it. And then you don't want to, sound too churchy. Sometimes they don't want to hear that. So what could you possibly tell someone? Because there's no words that you could possibly say to take that feeling away, right? So if you, like I said, before our break, I said, Pastor Jeffrey, we would want you to share with us what you would want people to pray about for someone who has lost a spouse. What are some things that they could pray about?
But before I say that, can I share something else with you, please?
Yes, sir.
One of the worst things you can do to a person who has experienced a loss is to suggest to them that I know how you feel.
Especially if you haven't had no experience.
But even though you may have experienced a death before, you don't always know the way that person is feeling. Because there is no standard way of feeling after you would have lost a loved one. And the second thing that, is hurtful, the second thing that is hurtful is what you don't want to do is tell them to get over it.
We want to see you on the camera. They're saying they can't see you. So you go a little to your right.
Is that good?
A little bit more. There you go. All right.
Okay. The second thing I always ask people not to do is to suggest that you get over it.
Ooh.
And there are some people who believe that, you just take too long with this thing. And so they encourage you to get over it. Listen, whenever a person experiences a loss of a loved one, please understand that there is never a right psalm, never a right hymn, never a right prayer. Sometimes all that people need you to do is just to show them that you're there for them. Sometimes they don't need you to say anything. They just need to know that you're there. And it's okay to not know how a person feels, but you need to be supportive.
I like that.
Sometimes you just need to hold their hand. Sometimes if the moment doesn't require it, sometimes you just have to be there and be silent. Sometimes they would need you to do things that are considerate. I know when I had a brother whose wife died, and I could see the pain in his heart. And so I said to him, she died on a Saturday. We went by him that Sunday for dinner, because my siblings are very clannish. So we went by him for dinner that Sunday, and I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to come and get you tomorrow morning. And I said, I know you have to go to the hospital to do identification. You have to go to the insurance company. You have to go to the morticians. You have to, a number of things that you have to do. And so I said, listen, I'm going to come and get you because I don't need you to be driving by yourself. And I had just dropped my daughter to work, and I called him and I asked him if he had something to eat. And I said, okay. He didn't. I said, okay, what do you like? And I went and I got him something to eat. And so when I got to his house that morning, we sat down, we had breakfast. I put him in the car and we just drove to the hospital. We went to one insurance company, the morticians, and a couple other places. And I took him back home. And I would call him at least twice a day. And I said, listen, I'm just calling to find out how you're doing.
It's the little things like that,
Yeah.
right? It's just little
And because I knew there were certain things that he needed. And so instead of him always asking me to do the things, I would ask him, do you have food in your fridge? Do you have this, that, and the other thing? We would always ensure that, someone was there making sure that he was getting his meals. Um, if there was an errand that he needed to run and he didn't feel like doing it and we were available, we would always go and get him. You see, wisdom is the principal thing.
That's right.
So you need wisdom.
That's right.
But in all of your getting, you need to get understanding.
Amen.
You see, if you don't understand where I am, it's virtually impossible for you to be of any tangible assistance to me.
That one, and that part, because listen, so that is what I meant when I said sometimes you just don't know what to say, what to do. However, you can actually just lend a hand, cook a meal, drop it off, volunteer to watch the kids or drop them to school or do something once they allow you to, obviously, because you don't want to pry.
Well,
right?
There are ways that you can do what you need to do. There was a situation I was in at one point, and people would say, well, if there's anything I can do to help. And that's like an egg-headed statement because we know that certain things have to get done.
Right.
We know that, certain appointments have to be met.
So, but not because it's a kind of, I get what you're saying, but it's a thin line to that though, sir. You don't think so? Because some people are so funny with, their space and, their private.
But this is where understanding comes in.
Right. Okay.
You and I we've just met each other.
Yes.
And so there are certain things about you I don't know. And so I'm going to be very, very careful how I proceed along a particular line. But if there was someone that you know.
Mm-hmm. Just go and take initiative. Just do it anyway. Let them tell you.
Right.
I get
right.
it.
And then like I said, every death situation follows the same line straight through. Certain things have to happen. And so instead of saying if there's anything I could do to help, why not say, I understand that you have family viewing on Wednesday. Would it be okay if I come and get you?
I get it.
You understand what I'm saying?
Something. Volunteer. Let them tell you no.
Right.
I love that. Now let's see. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, sir. My producer said that we have Minister Karen back on. I just want to make sure that we can get in from the widow point of view. Minister Karen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Praise the Lord. Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
I apologize. I was in my car and it was hooked up to my car, and that's why I couldn't wait to get home because my daughter is here with me.
Yes.
So she was like, Mom, just, you're in the car. So you didn't know how to, change. And
It's okay.
That's what it was.
I'm
So
just
please.
grateful. I'm grateful that you are on. So that's what matters.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
so I just want to get your input. Of course, we heard from a male's point of view the loss of his spouse, and we want to get a female's. Actually, we've had some females that were inputting about their loss, etc. So we want to get you. I just wanted you to briefly tell us about your late. Well, first of all, introduce yourself, and then tell us about your late spouse.
Hi, my name is Karen Wiggins. My husband, it's only been a year.
Oh, wow.
September the 29th made 1 year. Yesterday, the 11th was the funeral, the day of the funeral of last year. That's the 1 year anniversary. So I'm going through the storm, you all. I'm going through the storm. It's really hard. It's really hard. But I do have God on my side. And because my husband knew God, I feel more at ease. I feel, how can I say it? I feel that because he know God and he was a child of God and a man of God, I know where he went. Can I say it like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Very gentle man, very sweet man, very kind man. He was a deacon in the church. We was married 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
We had a daughter. She's now 23. And he worked at a university. He worked there for 40 years. Everybody knew him. I don't care where we went. They knew Mr. Wilbert.
Mm-hmm.
And he always been a man that took care of his family, took care of everyone around him. He was an armor bearer to my pastor. My pastor is still feeling it right now. My bishop is still feeling it right now. He talks about it often. how he missed him so much. He called him, his wife, my pastor, his wife calls him their protector. He always made sure, even in our church, even in my home, even at his job, that everybody was cared for and taken care of. It didn't matter, he never met a stranger. He would always, lend a hand. He will always, and I'm not talking this just because he's my husband, you guys.
Yeah.
I've been knowing him all my life, to be honest with you. And before we even got together, started dating, he was just that kind of person. So when we started dating, it was like, wow, I hit the jackpot, because he was so, to me, that type of guy that intelligent, loved God, wasn't the type of guy that was, all in the streets, running behind women, none of that stuff. He was just a wholesome young man that loved God. And he when he passed, he was in the hospital for 44 days.
Wow.
The Bible says to suffer with him is to reign with him. And I said I wasn't going to cry, you guys, but it's only
that's fine.
Oh, thank you, baby. What happened? He had pancreatic cancer, and they diagnosed him in 2023 with pancreatic cancer. He had the surgery. After the surgery, they did a scan. They said that he was cancer-free. Everything came back clear. But we know when cancer is in the body, is that, cancer is there. It's never really gone. It's the fact that it cleared in certain areas in his body, where in the pancreas area.
Mm-hmm.
So a year later, he kept complaining about his stomach was bothering him. So we took him to the hospital. He went to the hospital. They did a scan on him. They found an object inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then they shipped him to another hospital, emergency. They found even at that hospital, because they wasn't equipped to find out what it was. Found out that he, from the surgery,
Wow.
in 2023, a plastic tube was left inside of him.
Oh my God.
He ended up with sepsis, you guys.
Yeah.
So,
I don't, because this is so fresh, I just want to be careful of the type of questions I ask. And then, still trying to keep my emotions, because of this is something of, another person's fault, or the negligence or whatever have you from the doctors. So I God ain't finished with me yet. He's still working on me. So I'm going to leave that there for now. But I want to say to you, so if you work if you want to minister to women out there who's also lost their loved one, right? Who's also lost their spouse, I want you to speak to that person. I want you to speak to that wife who's tuning in. And perhaps she may have a tissue in her hand just as well, because of what you're saying is like it's opening up the moment for her and that time for her. So minister to her for us, please, Karen.
yes, I want you to listen to me clearly. Because at this time, I'm still going through the loss, the hurt, the pain. I miss him physically, mentally, spiritually. He was like my guardian angel, my guardian angel. So what I did, because Ecclesiastes talks about seasons, a time to live and a time to cry, and all these different seasons that we're going to go through. Actually, when I started reading that even the more, God actually had me, Karen, to change my mindset of how to actually understand the season that I'm in. We got to understand the season that we're in.
Come on.
And once I understood the season that I was in, because one thing I did learn from losing my husband, I said, okay, God, you took him. I didn't understand all the time. You don't understand all why God takes, someone so close, someone so vibrant, someone that loves everybody, that loves you dearly. I did not quite understand it. But as time went by, let's say a couple of months down the road, and I said, but God, why did you take my husband? He said, I took Wilbert because he was ready.
My God.
I said, okay, God, I get it. So I had to accept the season. Once I embraced the season, because God don't make no mistakes. Understand that for one thing. He doesn't make any mistakes. I had to let go and let God. I had to allow God. I allowed God to come into my life. Now, understand, I am a saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost one. I am. I love God with everything in me. But I had to allow God to come into my season of grief, my season of hurt, pain. I allow him to come in and heal me. Okay? The tears are from the loss. Understand what I'm saying? But the smile is because God allowed God to come into the season. I can smile again. I can think about all the 29 years that we had together. The good father he was, the wonderful husband that he was. All how he built a home for me to live in. He made sure I was financially taken care of. He made sure my daughter was taken care of. And all the years that we was together, it wasn't always peaches and cream, y'all. It wasn't always great. But the most of it is that I knew that he was created, and God did create him just for me. And the thing about, he loved me every day. He never slept on a couch. I never slept on a couch. We never left this house without, even if we got in a spat, he said, baby, we're going to get this right. Because guess what? We never know if we're going to make it back home.
Come on.
That's the kind of person he was. I want you ladies to hold on to the memories, the good times. Because if you keep wallowing in the pain, the hurt, the loss, guess what's around the corner? Depression, oppression, suicidal. They're hanging right around the corner waiting for you. So think on those good things. The Bible said think on the good things that your husband has done for you and what God had allowed him to do for you in your life. Keep those memories, those good memories, the fun times. You know what I'm saying? I could be home now, sitting at night. My daughter could be gone. And I look at his picture and I get a little sadness, you know? But I think about our conversations that we would have, it'll make me laugh. Or the things he has worked my last nerve.
Right.
And it makes me smile.
Yeah.
Because God didn't allow those 29 years of 29 years of my life, you know, to come to this and allow me to just die. Just like a person that did 12 years in college and commit a crime. All those years and do it like a doctor and practice for 40 years and commit a crime and go to prison the rest of his life. No. God created this man for me. He created us together. Those 29 years that we had, I thank God for the 29 years that we had together. Actually, it's 32 years. We dated 4 years before we even got married until we were sure this is what we wanted to do. So when we realized, okay, this is what we're going to do, God allowed us to go all the way to 29 years. And I thank God for that. I thank God for how he sustained us the whole 29 years. And like I said, it wasn't always great, but it was wonderful. Can I say it like that?
Yes, that's beautiful. Listen, and even for those who still have their spouses with them, male, female, whomever, right? I hope you're also taking note of this. We somehow take for granted the fact that God has blessed us with our spouses, and we act as if we're allowed or we're promised another day with them. We act as if, oh, God is not gonna at any point in time just snap his finger and just allow death to come and just blow. You understand what I'm saying? We act as if, oh, it's no big deal. I could always say, I apologize 2 weeks from now. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and just not have a conversation with him, give him an attitude, give her an attitude, abuse her, all these other things. And then when that person goes or leaves, when God allows that person to go, we not we, but people tend to start regretting or start, feeling bad or start just looking for memories. And all the time when the person was alive, you were taking them for granted. You were taking advantage of the love. You're taking advantage of the fact that God has entrusted you with this individual. Our role as women, as wives, is to honor our husbands, right? And to serve them and to submit to them. And I say this lightly because some people don't understand what that is, but that's okay. We'll talk about that on another topic. All right. To honor them, to defer them, to enjoy them. And these are different definitions or synonyms or however you want to put it in the term of honoring and submission, right? And I'm saying that because we tend to take advantage of what we have at present. We tend to take for granted that God has blessed us with these people. And then when you hear testimonies of those who have lost these, I hope we get it together as women. And then men, your role, your duty is to love your wife as Christ loved the church. You know what it is? You know how much he loved us? The mere fact that he took his last breath, and he could have called so many different angels to come and rescue him. He could have just said, you know what, God, take this cup, and then just say, take this cup, and be like, I am the cup. No, he said, but hey, no, this is your will for me. I'm going to go ahead and do it. He loved us so much that he gave of himself. And that's how men should be towards their wives. It shouldn't have to be that you have to go, I'm saying it, going sweethearting and looking at other women and lusting over other things and taking care of your job and all these other things. And ministry, yes, I said it, pastors who take in their churches and doing things prior to or before their wives and neglecting their households. You have men and women who are in a state right now where they wish they had another chance, a second chance to make it right. And I hope I'm ministering to someone out there. Go and tell your spouse, apologize. First of all, repent to God, because that is his daughter, that is his son, that you have neglected and rejected and abandoned and hurt and spewed word curses. And then go to your spouse and make it right.
That's right. Right.
I never know where I'm going. Now I don't even know what question to ask you. I don't know. Let me ask you, Minister Karen. I want to ask you, because Pastor Jeffrey said, I don't know if you were tuning in because I know you said you off and on, but he was saying that there's some ladies or a lady in the church who said, "Oh, I'm praying for you, Pastor." So Pastor was like, "Okay, well, let me just ask you a quick question. I'm trying to be facetious. I just want to know what you're praying about. What are your prayers?" And the lady could not answer. So let me ask you, Minister Karen, if someone were to pray, how would they pray for someone else who's lost a spouse? What are some of the prayers that they can offer?
Someone else who lost a spouse. I would pray for their mind. Their mind, their mindset and their heart. Their heart still has to heal. Their physical asset, because sometimes we can hurt so bad that our body will get sick and it'll break down. We need to ask for prayer for their family, their children, their finances. A lot of people go through a lot of financial turmoil after a spouse passes. Pray for just anything in the area that deals with their mind, their heart, the heartbreak, the physical aspect of them, their home, the financial part of them, their prayer life. You know what I'm saying? Their surroundings. Ask God for protection over them. That's mainly. I love that. What I would pray for in that area.
I love that. Yeah. And how has community? How is the community, the church family, the family, your family? How have they been to you? Because it's only been a year, but are you getting the support that you need necessary as you're coping, as you're going through this journey?
Yes, actually, there's an elderess in my church, and she's a clinical psychologist, and also she's my friend. And she's one I can call every day, any time of the day, and talk with her. If I feel like I'm feeling a little sad or something like that, I can always call her. my pastors, great support. All of my friends in my church, everyone that was in close contact with me and my husband. Remember now, he was the type of guy that opened the church, closed the church, cleaned the church, did everything in the church, kept everybody protected in church. He was on security in the church. He was a deacon. He did it all. So I understand that the support that I get from I'm also an evangelist too. So all the support I get from my evangelist team, my ministerial team is wonderful. My community, my neighbors, actually, me and my husband adopted my neighbors beside me. We're actually their parents. We're adopted parents for them. So they still take out my trash. They still do things for me in my home. Because one thing the young man, he said, I knew what Dad stood for. And I want to be here for you because Dad is no longer here. I know he's here in spirit, but I want to do the tangible things. I remember the young man was talking just then about the tangible things. Mm-hmm. So they're still doing tangible things. My bishop, he makes sure that I'm financially stable. He got up in front of the whole congregation. Can I tell you?
Come on.
And told them, I told Deke, I got Karen and Joy. Wow. I'm going to take care of them. And guess what? He's still doing it. And a lot of times when the funeral is over,
you know what I'm
home,
saying?
They stop. Everything stops. That's why a lot of times people do go in depression and give up. But I'm telling you, my family, my church family, and my immediate family are right there. And I thank God for them.
Amen.
Everybody do not have that type of support, sweetheart. Everybody don't have that tangible. That I heard the young man, if anything I can do for you, let me know. Yeah, some things you need to do for me. Yeah, don't ask me that.
Listen, Eva has a woman, because you said you have one daughter, correct?
Yes, I have one daughter.
And so, I don't want to breach your security, but you know I'm going with this. So you do have neighbors that come in, so that's good. So I'm gonna leave that right there. All right. So here's a question. Here's a statement on Facebook. It says, "We have moments that we question God. The book of Job is a great read during this season. Draw closer to God and don't follow the ways of the world to try to get over or through grief." That's pretty good. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Let me ask Pastor Jeffrey this question. Were you ever angry at God or question him in any way?
I was. And it's simply because I didn't understand. I did not understand. The experience, I told you my wife died 2 weeks after I retired. Mm-hmm. The last 3 years of my employment, we determined that we would not take any trips together as a family. We would travel up to 3 times a year as a family. And so we decided that for the last 3 years, we would just sort through a lot of the, small bills and everything. And we would have a 3-week vacation at the point of my retirement. It was all planned out. Because my daughter was as young as she was, we had intended to take our first cruise because her birthday was intended to happen during the time that we were off. So we were intended to spend her birthday at sea. Would you believe that on the day that we were intended to start a vacation, I buried her?
No.
Yeah. And there were so many things that happened around the time of her death. We weren't able to get a lot of things. But when she died, there was an emptiness. I went into the hospital about 2:30 that morning. She coded a couple of times. And when the nurse came in, the nurse and the doctor came in at the last time, I knew she had gone. I had seen her a couple of hours before. And now it's 1 minus 1, becoming 1. It was a difficult thing to actually deal with because, you're praying and you're hoping and you're asking God just to have His will. And when His will is done, there are times that you have difficulty accepting the reality of His will. But as time goes on, that His will is perfect.
Yeah.
even though it is not something that we would have wanted. But his ways are different from our ways.
So God, his way is perfect. Let me ask you, Pastor Jeffrey. I know it's been 10 years for you, but have you decided on moving on since?
Like I said, a very special friend of mine, we were very, very close, and we were even contemplating marriage. And at the point that she said to me that I had not healed, it was an eye-opener for me.
Oh, I remember.
It was at that point I had to move towards healing. And in my trek towards healing, there were many persons I came across, and I could identify myself in them.
Can I pause for a second? Just for someone else, a male who is listening now, how can you identify what needed to be healed? Were you bringing up because her name is Karen as well. Were you bringing up Karen and every memory? What was it that was happening with you for someone else or potential wife to identify that you haven't healed as yet?
Because there were certain things that I would do, and I was so mechanized towards Karen. I would just do it instinctively. And she said to me one time,
Sorry, so I dig in. Can you be specific?
Okay.
It's a transparent show.
Okay, here's what happens. I went to the store that she worked at, and I was picking out a wreath, and because I wanted to take it to her grave, and I was there about 2 hours, and I was just very particular about what it was that I wanted to, because I knew what she liked and I knew what she didn't like, and so it took me about 2 hours to pick it out, and she asked me, she said, "Why did it take you so long?"
She was with you.
Well, anyhow, I don't want to.
That's fine.
But she knew that I was in the process of picking up this wreath and everything, and she asked me, why did it take you so long? And it was at that point I realized that even though she was gone, it was very important to me to ensure that whatever I did for her was something that was really special.
Thank you. I get it. And how long since her death have you tried to move on?
Well, I was engaged at that point. And we made a decision that because of where I was, it would not have been wisdom for me to commit myself to a marriage if I had not gotten over the first one as yet.
Okay, I got you.
And it was not something that I even thought about. But I recognized that I was so committed in this first case that I was not able to loose myself from it. And even though I would say that I would loose myself from it, but the reality is I had not.
Okay, I get it. And I am grateful for your transparency. I'm sorry that I had to pry some stuff out, but I want to help others. I want them to identify some of the triggers, some of the hurt, some of the pain, so that they could know what they can work on before they decide to move on. Because hurt people. You want to get into something that is painful, and then you go into another relationship and you mismanage it. Or you can't steward it well because of the pain that you're still having. Sorry, sir. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get back to, we're going to finish. We have 15 minutes within the show after this break.
Okay.
Y'all ready?
Yeah. You need to turn off the.
You are.
In your training business, have you published your business? Do you feel fulfilled in life? Need help with time management? Or perhaps a breakthrough?
Do you want him to come on?
I think we can help you at Your Lane Life Coaching. Our professional team will help you discover what you really want and take you from where you are to your desired outcome in your life or marriage. Fulfilling your goals is important to us.
Someone else is coming
at 376-8681 or visit our website at www.yourlanelifecoaching.com.
Your Lane Life Coaching, discovering pathways to progress. John Shoes and Accessories is your one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. You will find what you're looking for among the growing collection of classic and trendy styles with new arrivals every week. John's covers the whole family and has great prices, helpful and friendly customer service. Your experience shopping with us will be time well spent. Shop with us online at www.johnshoes.com. John's also now carries small home appliances. So come on into John's, located on Rosetta Street in Palmdale and Carmichael Road West. John's, we put fashion at your feet.
Don't ignore your children's dreams. In Genesis 37, Joseph shared his dreams, and though his father dismissed them, those very dreams revealed his destiny. God is still speaking to children today, even in their sleep. And as parents, we must listen, cover, and nurture. That's why I created the Children's Dream Journey, a tool to help you capture and protect what God is revealing to your kids. You can purchase your copy now on Amazon. Let's guard the destiny in our children's dreams together.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so what we're going to do in this last 15 minutes, are we going to interview the, let me see if I get both of them on. One should be on Zoom and one should be, well, presently it would be. All right. We have, well, I had in my notes Dr. Leonardo and Dr. Delarise, but clearly Dr. Leonardo's not here, but we have Dr. Delarise and Dr. Delarise has, what's the name of the other person on virtual?
Philippa Leiden, sorry.
Philippa Leiden, who's on virtual. So what they are going to share is this remarkable event that is happening and taking place this week. And so she's doctor as well? No, or just Philippa?
Reverend,
listen, Reverend Doctor, Pastor. These ain't no play people who come into this event. Okay, this is what y'all done starting off right. Y'all already done up here. Okay, we got Reverend Doctor. Listen, they ain't nobody from off the street. They come in with information. So we have Reverend Philippa and we have Dr. Delarise here that's talking about this wonderful, remarkable event entitled Hold It Together Widows Conference. So Dr. Delarise, tell us all about it.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you how it got started. Hold It Together Marriage Forum has been in existence for 5 years now. And at the wedding of my husband and I, only couples stood in the wedding. And two of the couples that stood in the wedding, Pastor Jeff here and Reverend Philippa Leiden and their spouses, they were a part of our bridal couple. Unfortunately, both of their spouses passed. And when that happened, I remember we were driving, my husband and I were driving somewhere, and I was speaking to Reverend Leiden, and we have to do a widow's ministry. I just said to him, we have to do a widow's ministry. And he said, well, who is going to be in charge? I said, well, we have Reverend Leiden and we have Pastor Jeff. And at first, when I called both of them, they paused. They were like, who, me? I was like, yes, we have to start a widow's ministry. And that's how the widow's ministry started in the Hold It Together Marriage Forum, because we would, of course, notice that we were one day married, and coincidentally the next day you were widowed. But at the same time, they were a part of us. They were family. So we had to keep them within our circle, because they were both mentors to both me, my husband and I. And that is where the Widows Ministry started, or the Widows Arm. And both of them were actually the directors of our Widows Ministry once it started. And
because that's one of the questions I was going to ask, like, how you get from marriage to all the way to widow? Is that you skipping things before you get? I don't know, because I knew you too, you and Dr. Leonardo, for doing so well when it comes to marriages and all these other things. So it's amazing how you're saying, you know what, I'm going to get everyone in block. I think one time I saw a flyer to say singles.
Oh yes, we do singles as well.
You got singles.
We do singles as well.
Everybody. I love it. And I know that how God works is He looks for willing and able and people who he could trust
Yes.
to pour into people who are most vulnerable. And I know that he knows that you two are worthy and deemed worthy to do this. So as I'm looking on the flyer, because I actually have the flyer out for those who are on Facebook and YouTube, I see my good Bishop Kendall Simmons from Church of God of Prophecy,
yes.
Blue Hill Road.
Oh,
And
yes.
he's a speaker, and my God, let me tell you.
You don't
now,
want to miss
I-
him.
Mm.
You don't want to miss that.
He and his wife were part of my marriage as well. Very, very good friends of my husband. Of course, we connected because of my husband. And they were truly, truly good people for me to look at and emulate. And of course, they had, they would joke around publicly, attacking each other in a good way because we laugh about it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they always supported one another.
Yes.
He was there for her, she was there for him. And to this day, when he speaks, he brings about fond memories of them. And then the entire church who know them would laugh and chuckle because they know how Minister Joy was. And so I could even imagine as he's speaking to you all, the powerful, because I know Pastor Cedric as well, but for him to speak on something like this, y'all thought Pastor Jeffrey was powerful. Listen here, y'all need to come to this particular, for those who've lost a spouse. You have to come to this event. I want you to share with us, because we also had Minister Karen. For those who didn't know, the female that was speaking, the female voice was Minister Karen. Was it?
From Virginia.
Right. She's all the way from Virginia. She's actually going to be a speaker as well. Share with us the other speakers that will be on board.
Well, on Thursday, we start next week, Thursday on the 16th. We started with our moderator, which is Pastor Jeff. And that night, that's when we're going to have Minister Karen Wiggins. She's going to be our keynote speaker. But we also have breakout sessions. And listen, we have some awesome topics to be discussed. We have How Was I Able to Love Again? And this will be done by Pastor Pierre from Bimini. I'm Dealing with My Sexual Urges by Reverend Philippa Leeden. Will I Ever Stop Feeling Empty by Miss Sandra Cox. And How Important It Is to Express How I Feel by Mr. Fred Smith. So we're going to give them the options of going into these breakout rooms because we want you to feel comfortable but we're not going to be airing on Facebook.
No.
You have to register in order to be a part of this conference.
And how do they register?
You can go onto the Facebook link, Hold It Together Marriage Forum. You're going to see our registration form, or you can call 395-3705. And I will be able to send you the registration form.
Repeat the number.
395-3705.
So Doctor, let me ask Reverend Philippa, because she's on board. Reverend Philippa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you?
I'm excellent.
That's good. Listen, let me ask you all, because I have to ask you all this question. How important you think it is for the body of Christ to have services or conferences like this for people who have lost their spouses or widows and widowers?
It is very important. When Deli and Alan, the Allens, I saw them doing marriage and singles. I was like, I don't fit in none of these categories. So who am I? Because I was married one time. Now I'm single. But am I really single? No. It was like Deli. And I said, Deli, you need to do something for the widows. And in the church, they will have functions for marriage, and they will have the married person, and they will have functions for the single. I was like, it's almost like I'm raising my hand. Hello, we exist. Singles exist. We're not invisible. Can you just have something that our voice can be heard? Like you know what we are going through. And when this ministry came out, I support them 100%, and I will until my eyes are closed, because this gave me hope. This gave me life again. This caused me to be the vibrant widow woman that I am, because somebody taught about widow ministry in the body of Christ and say, you know what? Let me scoop up some of these persons that are forgotten by ministries. And I will encourage the church, if you're listening, please activate the widows ministry in your church. And if you don't know how to do it, Minister Delores and Pastor Allen is right here. They can assist you. My thoughts.
Okay. Somebody just asked a message here. Says, Mrs. Hannah, doesn't the Bible teach widows to remain widows if their spouse is still? What? Doesn't the Bible teach widows to remain widows if their spouse is still alive? Okay, so I think this person may be referring to the fact that, okay, the person is.
No, she's talking.
Till death do we part.
No, it's not widows.
Not
She's talking
widows.
about those that are divorced.
Right, because I noticed that they say widows, because I'm like, okay, so if the person is dead, then they're a widow.
You're
You
right.
know, but you are willing to, you are able, you have the ability to go ahead and remarry once that person has deceased. But if the person you just divorced, you know, that's a very touchy subject.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And you know, and the tragedy is the church doesn't like to talk about it.
They don't.
No.
Almost as if it's a taboo or something that you don't talk about, but it exists.
It exists.
So, Dr. Galleries, is there anything else that you want to share about this event? Now, I want to remind you that the people who have had on this show are speakers at this particular event. And for those, our Church of God of Prophecy people, you know, we all want to Christ, but you know, we little closer. Right? We like support our teams. So is this only for widows and widowers, or can we just come to support?
We have married people who have already registered. We have singles who have already registered. And can I tell you, we have had events for the married, for the single, and for the widowed. When we had the events for the widowed, the first event that we had for widows, listen, I was expecting everybody to just be quiet and just sitting down. No. This was one of our most exciting events. These persons were singing love songs. They were having games. They were playing. And guess what? At the end, they all went into the pool wholesale.
What?
Wholesale.
The women.
Let me make that. Yes, he's correcting me. The women went into the pool wholesale. I talking. They were nicely adorned,
Yes.
makeup and everything. They just went into the pool. Like they were just living, and I learn so much when I'm around the widows. They have so much experience and a wealth of knowledge, and I am excited for this event. I am excited. So even if you are married, you need to register and listen in to some of the things that these widows are saying. And they are not there. There is much life. We have Reverend Philippa, and she was widowed twice.
Oh wow.
Twice.
Oh Jesus. Ooh, Reverend Philippa, we need to put you back on the show at some point. Cause something you gotta share this. You have to share this, okay? Because once, twice, no, we're gonna bring you back on at some point because God has obviously been good to you, to the fact that you still have your mind and you and your sound mind and you're still serving Him. So I want to thank you, Dr. Dalaries. I want to thank Minister Karen. I want to thank Pastor Jeffrey for being a part of your Lane Talk Show today. You have been phenomenal. I'm excited to hear more about what is happening with the Hold It Together ministry and the conference that you're having, the singles, the marriage, and the widow. She's covering everyone. And I give God thanks for you and your husband, your dear husband, for doing this, for serving the body of Christ, which is much needed. Of course, can you share with us again where people can go to register? Is it free?
It's free.
It's free.
It is totally,
Free.
absolutely free.
And the thing about it is,
Free.
like I was telling Pastor Jeffrey, I said, listen, some things I don't mind you holding back a little bit. It's okay. Because when you go out there to the people and those little breakout sessions, when you have other men who want to
better be ready for some of
better
that.
be ready because he's
Yeah,
going to
better
come
be
and
ready.
he's going to be very transparent. And I'm most certain that Reverend Philippa and Minister Karen will also be transparent.
yes.
I want to be there. I want to be there.
Yes.
But I thank God for you. Can you share where they can register again?
You can register on the Facebook page, on our Facebook page, Hold It Together Marriage Forum. You're going to see a registration link, or you can call 395-3705 and the registration form will be sent to you. 395-3705, or visit our Facebook page, Hold It Together Marriage Forum, for the registration link. You don't want to miss this conference.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And as we close today's conversation, I want to leave with you a reminder. Psalm 34, verse 18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." And to the widow, I want you to know that God is your husband. All right. To the widower, He is your best friend. Jesus left his spirit with us so that we could be comforted. He is the comforter, the great comforter, and he's the one that could fill whatever void that you may think you have, or whatever loneliness that you think you have. All right. I know that God is able, he's willing, and he can do anything but fail. All right. He makes all things beautiful in his time. And of course, he's also a restorer. He knows that the desires of your heart. So Pastor Jeffrey, when that time comes, when you say, God, I need a helpmeet, he's going to hear your prayer and your cry, because he ain't going to leave you lonely. He's not going to leave you without something or someone, because he knows that man cannot live. First of all, man can't live by bread alone, and it's not good for man to be alone.
Mhm.
All right. So if he needs to come and bring another Mrs. Evans, then he's going to have another Mrs. Evans.
I received
Let
that.
his
I
will be done.
received that.
I hear that.
Listen, grief is not something you get over, and I get it. It's something that you learn to walk through. The journey may feel lonely at times. I typed this out before I came here, but God promises presence in every step. He is near to you. He is holding you together, and he is writing a new chapter for your life, even after loss. So to every widow and widower listening today, I want you to know you are seen, you are loved, you are heard, and your story is not over. In fact, God still has purpose for you. Hold on to him and hold on to hope. And as you heal, remember this, you still have a lane. All right. So stay in your lane, because that is where your strength, your assignment, and your destiny will unfold. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into Your Lane Talk Show with Coach Trish Hanna. And we were with the Hold It Together Marriage Forum Widow Conference guests and hosts. And it's exciting. I can't wait to hear about it. Of course, you go and support the people who are going to be present. I pray that you were all encouraged, educated, and empowered today. And until next time, happy Sunday, everyone. Stay in your lane.